In this video, you're going to learn how you can track conversions into Google AdWords using the dedicated Google AdWords conversion tracking and how to import conversions from Google Analytics. I'm Benjamin and I'm going to help you get the most out of your data to improve your website and online marketing. If you haven't already, then please subscribe to receive the latest tips, tutorials, and more. Let's get started. When it comes to Google AdWords, we have two options for measuring conversions. The first option is to use the dedicated Google AdWords conversion tracking. This is where we configure tracking that is 100% focused on the performance of our Google AdWords campaigns, and this is actually what we'll be covering today. The second option is to import conversions from Google Analytics. This means that we configure the conversion inside Google Analytics, and we then import the conversions that were a result of our campaigns back into Google AdWords. Having both of these options gives us the flexibility to choose conversion tracking that meets our particular needs. Before we look at how to set up AdWords conversion tracking, I want to cover the difference you might find when you look at the data inside Google AdWords compared to Google Analytics. The difference we see in data are generally the result of attribution. In this example, we can see that someone first came to our website from AdWords, then they came from Twitter before finally converting from one of our email campaigns. If we look at the standard attribution inside Google AdWords, then since there was a click from our campaign in the path to conversions, we'd see a conversion inside our AdWords account. If we then look at the standard reports inside Google Analytics, the conversion would be attributed to the email campaign. So you can immediately see that we'd be looking at different results if we were comparing our data from AdWords to what we find inside Google Analytics. To set up conversion tracking, we head into our Google AdWords account, and then under Tools on the drop-down, you'll see the Conversions option. So we click on Conversions. This is where we can configure our dedicated Google AdWords conversion tracking. And this is also where you can import your Google Analytics goals and transactions. Today, we're going to click on New Conversion. This will give us a list of the different dedicated AdWords conversion tracking options we have available. First, we have the option to track website conversions. It's the most common type of AdWords conversion, and we're going to configure that in just a moment. We also have the option to measure conversions from our apps, phone calls, and even importing offline conversion data too. So let's start by looking at website conversions. Once we've selected to track website conversions, we need to configure the conversion inside Google AdWords. Here we can see all the steps we'll need to travel through. First, we need to name our conversion. Today I'm going to be walking through setting up conversion tracking for a form. So I name my conversion, in this case contact form, and click Done to travel to the next step. Now I have the option of assigning a dollar value for the conversion. The first option is to assign the value every time the action is performed, so I can enter the value that my contact form generates each time it's completed. In this example, I'm entering the average value of a form submission, but there are alternate options. For example, if you're measuring real value from, say, online transactions, you can measure that dynamic or changing value into the AdWords conversion tracking script. You can also use a symbolic dollar value, or in my case, I'm using a calculated value. There's also the option to track conversions without assigning a dollar value, but I really encourage you to try and assign one even if it's just symbolic or even calculated. Next, I travel through, and I can now decide how I want to count conversions into Google AdWords. My tip here is that if you're capturing leads, then you'll only want to count each conversion once. For example, let's say we're advertising a gym, and we have a form that allows people to sign up for a free trial. Once we've captured their details, it really doesn't matter how many times they complete or fill out the form. We already have their details captured, and we're not going to create additional value if they fill out our form multiple times. So in this particular case, we want to count the form as one conversion, even if people complete it many times. However, on the other hand, if we're measuring transactions, then each time someone completes a conversion, we're actually adding additional value. So in that case, we'd want to count every action as a conversion. Now, coming back to my example, I'm going to select 1 because I'm tracking a contact form, and I only want to count a single conversion even if the form is completed multiple times by the same person. Now I can select a conversion window. This tells AdWords how far back in time to look for the person who has converted. The default is 30 days, so this tells AdWords to look back 30 days before the conversion occurred to see if there was a click from one of our campaigns. There's also the option to set the view through conversion window. This is for our display ads and is similar to the conversion window. If someone views our ad but does not click it, then this will be reported as a view through conversion. Setting the window allows you to decide how much historical data to include in your view through conversions. Next up, we have the category. The category allows you to classify your conversions inside the Google AdWords interface. So it means that we have the option to select particular categories when you're looking at your campaign data. For example, you can then select conversion category when you're segmenting data inside Google AdWords. For my example, I'm going to select lead. You can select if you'd like to include the conversions within the conversions column inside the interface. In most cases, you'll want to leave this enabled, but if you are setting up, say, tracking for a micro conversion or secondary objective, then you might want to remove that data from the conversions column. This selection is also used to include conversions in automated bidding strategies, for example, enhanced CPC and CPA or cost per acquisition bidding. Finally, you can select an attribution model for your conversion. This allows you to decide how to give credit for the conversion if someone clicks on more than one of your ads. For example, if someone, say, clicked through on 2 of your ads, the last click attribution model would give 100% of the credit to the final ad that was clicked before the conversion occurred. You have the option of changing the attribution model, so you can select between last click, first click, linear, time decay, and position-based attribution models. And if you do have enough conversion data, you can even move to the data-driven model. Now that we've completed all of the steps to configure our goal, from naming to assigning value, defining the category, all the way through to selecting the attribution model, we can now save our conversion. We're now given the dedicated Google AdWords conversion tracking code. This is the code we actually need to place on the particular page after the action has been completed on our website. I really want to emphasize here, this is different from Google Analytics. The Google Analytics tracking code is placed on every page of our website, while the AdWords conversion tracking code is only placed on the individual page after the action has been completed. So it's really quite different. You have the option here to email the instructions through to your web developer if you're not looking after the code on your site, but you also have it there if you are. You also have the option to select if the conversion occurs on a particular page on your website or if it's based on a specific click. Now that we've covered how to track website conversions, we're going to look at other conversion tracking options, starting with apps. AdWords does allow you to measure app installs as well as actions within your app as conversions. You have the option of pulling data from Firebase, Google Play, or the other tracking options for apps. You can select the option you'd like to use and then travel through the configuration options. Next, we have call conversions, which allow you to measure people calling you as conversions inside Google AdWords. There are 3 options for tracking calls as conversions. If you're using a Google forwarding number, which is an option if you're using a call extension with your ads, then you can track calls as conversions from that call extension. For example, you could choose to count conversions if someone spends over 2 minutes, say, on a call. The second option allows you to embed the Google forwarding number on your website. This means placing some special code on your website and the code wraps around your default phone number. And now when someone clicks through from one of your ads, the phone number will be changed to the one that was included in the original ad they saw. When they call that number, the conversion will be triggered inside Google AdWords. The final option here is to measure clicks on your mobile website. This allows us to measure clicks on the phone number as a conversion. We also have the ability to import offline conversion data into Google AdWords. There are two options when it comes to offline conversions. We can import offline conversions that are based on people clicking through on our ads, and we can also import call data as well. So let's start with conversions from clicks. Using the conversion from clicks option means that we need to capture details about that click on our ad and then later use that for our offline conversion detail. To do this, we need to capture the GCL ID. This is the ID for the individual click-through from our ad. For example, we can capture the GCL ID using a hidden field in our website's lead form. This means that when people submit their details, we also receive information about the click on our ad. Once we've captured the GCL ID, we can upload the IDs for the people who converted offline back into AdWords. This will allow us to see the campaigns that have led to an offline conversion. This includes detail right down to the individual keyword and individual ad as well. So here's an example of how you could use offline conversion tracking. Let's say we're a car dealership and we're offering test drives. As people click through on our ads, we capture the GCL ID in our booking form. Then they come into the dealership and test drive the car. We can then find the GCL IDs for people who've decided to purchase the car and upload these IDs. This allows us to now see the offline transactions right within Google AdWords. We also have the option of uploading conversions that occurred during phone calls. There are a few requirements for this type of conversion. First off, you need to be using a Google forwarding number, and currently you can only upload data from calls occurring on mobile devices. Once you've identified the calls that converted, you upload the details about these calls. This includes the caller's phone number, the time of the call duration, and the conversion you'd like to track. Finally, I want to cover some of the differences between the dedicated AdWords conversion tracking we've covered today compared to importing conversions from Google Analytics. The way conversions are counted is actually different between AdWords and Analytics. AdWords allows you to choose to count one conversion per click or multiple conversions per click, as we saw when we configured our conversion. Google Analytics, on the other hand, allows you to count one goal conversion per session and multiple transactions if you are, say, selling online. So there are differences in how these are collecting data and the options available to us. Both of the options use JavaScript tracking code to collect conversion data, but the AdWords conversion tracking code does include a fallback if people do not have JavaScript enabled. AdWords conversion tracking only includes conversions that come from your ads, while Google Analytics, if you jump into your Google Analytics reports, will include all of your different marketing channels that are converting. Both options allow you to assign a dollar value to the conversion actions, and AdWords attributes the conversion to the last ad click, while Analytics attributes them to when the actual conversion occurred in terms of an attribution timeframe. Now we'll look at importing conversion data from Google Analytics into Google AdWords. We head back into our Google AdWords account. You do need to make sure that Google Analytics and Google AdWords are linked. Once they are linked, you can head back under Tools and Conversions, and you'll find Google Analytics in the options in the left-hand column. From here, because our accounts are linked, we can see the available Google Analytics goals and even transactions, if they're available, that we can import into Google AdWords. So it's simply a case of checking the options we'd like to import, clicking on the Import button, and then moving forward, we'll have data available for our conversions from AdWords coming out of Google Analytics directly inside the AdWords interface. As we've seen, we have a range of options to understand the performance of our campaigns. Remember, you'll see differences in your conversion numbers when you compare Google AdWords to Google Analytics. You do have the flexibility of using the dedicated AdWords conversion tracking that we looked at, or importing conversions from Google Analytics. Use the option that meets your needs. So that's how you can track conversions into Google AdWords. Tell me how you're using conversion tracking. Let me know and leave your tips in the comments below. If you thought this video was helpful, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and hit the like button so I know to make more videos like this. See you next time.